Welcome to the Engineers Hub podcast, where engineers come to connect, learn, grow, and get inspired. On every episode, we will be interviewing engineers, managers, technical experts, and industry leaders from various disciplines to share their stories and experience, uncover various engineering career paths, and inspire engineers to do more and be more. This is your host, Mamadou Jallo. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome to another edition of the Engineers Hub podcast. I am here today with our guest, Hinesh Padhiar. Hinesh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Mamadou. How you doing?
I'm doing great as well. I'm excited to have you on this podcast. I always like to start with a moment of gratitude. First of all, thank you for taking your time to come on here. I really do appreciate it, and it means a lot.
And no, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. It's my pleasure. Um, I think I think the first time I guess we met was back at like the community college, Baltimore County, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I
hmm
think we had some mutual friends, and then we connected that way.
Yeah, and from there on, you transferred and ended up going to College Park, University of Maryland, right?
Yeah, I did. I went to College Park, and then after 3 years, graduated from there.
Okay. Can you give our audience, I guess, a little bit of a background about you, like your background and what you studied, which field of engineering you went into, and what are you doing right now?
Okay, yeah, sure. I could start right at high school. So while I was in high school, I was very interested in going to college. So, I decided that I was interested in going to college, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to major in.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to community college of Baltimore County, and honestly, that really helped me decide that I wanted to become an engineer based on the classes that I took,
Mm-hmm.
and also my guidance counselor at community college of Baltimore County was Professor Lemire, and she really helped guide me to understand what it was like to be an engineer, as she was an engineer herself,
Mm-hmm.
and then she introduced me to a lot of different programs and mentorship opportunities, which kind of helped me gain that interest in engineering. So after 1.5 years at Community College of Baltimore County, I transferred to University of Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went to University of Maryland with the intent of doing biomedical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
While I was in high school, I did the AP biology classes. I took AP Calc. So, I was really interested in the biology side of things. But
Mm-hmm.
then, what happened was when I went to University of Maryland, I really wanted to kind of graduate like quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and most of my credits that transferred over, it was more applicable to an other like a different engineering discipline,
Mm-hmm.
like on the mechanical and electrical engineering side.
Yeah.
And then from there, I decided to go with electrical engineering,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because it's something different. It's something you can't see. It's something that it's almost like magic, right? It's That's how I thought of it at the time. And then
I still
so
think of it like it's magic.
yeah, it's definitely a very interesting technology. And even now, some of the things that I see, like it's just like wow, like we've come so far in terms of like engineering, and then also just like in the individual disciplines and just like electronics itself. It's
Mm-hmm.
just constantly evolving. So very exciting and interesting field to be in. So after University of Maryland, I spent 3 years there, and then I started working at a company called SES Networks.
Mm-hmm.
It was formerly called O3B Networks, and pretty much what this company is about is, or why it started was, it wanted to help provide internet connectivity and
Mm-hmm.
the ability to get to the internet for countries that were not able to get that fiber optic infrastructure put in place.
Mm-hmm.
Like in remote countries, it's not really that possible. So, we used satellite systems to provide internet connectivity to the rest of the world. And O3B really stands for the other 3 billion, which is the other
Wow.
3 billion people across the world that don't have internet access. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so I spent my time there starting with RF. technology and just RF engineering and understanding how radio frequency really works and how pretty much satellite communication works as a whole. That was a very exciting first industry for me to jump into right out of college. I learned a lot. The environment that I worked in as an engineer was really like it was very fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
It, it's really on the operations side. I worked in the network operations center at this company,
Mm-hmm.
and so you know, constantly fighting fires and really, and I really liked that type of role because I was constantly doing something new. It was constantly helping people and then constantly just working towards a solution that would help people, which is bringing it all back around why I kind of ended up in this engineering role in the first place, or
Mm-hmm.
like engineering field, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely interesting to see that that shift you decide to make from bio. Did you say biomedical
Yeah, I
to
was interested in the biology side, the human bio
yeah
elements,
making
and
yeah, that's also an interesting field, honestly. Like the people who, when you're trying to like help people who might have lost a limb or something like that. That's also a very interesting field. But I see. So, is there anything that was it the fact that you said it's just something invisible, like something that you cannot really see as much? Is that why you went to electrical instead of like mechanical or chemical or all the other options you had?
yeah. So I actually spoke to both counselors at University of Maryland, try to get understanding when I first went there to see which field I wanted to go into, and I had taken introduction to engineering at community college in Baltimore County, and during my time there we kind of got also an understanding of the different disciplines, and I like the electrical engineering side the most because
Wow.
I feel like it was more applicable to everyday life, our cell phones, right? um,
Mm-hmm.
like everything that we use now in technology is powered through
Yep.
electricity. So I could see the demand for the electrical engineering field more than I did mechanical. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, I'm a curious person. I like to learn about all different types of things, and I think mechanical would have also been interesting to me. I just stuck with electrical engineering and then went along with it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's honestly also what drew me to mechanical. But from what I'm hearing from you, that's kind of the common theme across all engineering disciplines. Like there's so much you can do with any within any specific discipline. There's even like so much variety in there, right? One of our other guests that came on earlier, he is a also electrical engineer, but he works with within the railway in the UK. So his stuff is it's crazy because his what he does is completely different as a project engineer over there, project engineer, compared to what it is that you do. I don't think he deals much. He deals a lot with anything that has to do with Wi-Fi and network connectivity. Um, he deals mostly on the power source, so it's really interesting to see that. So with that being said, for you, like with the working on this O3B, which is like the other 3 billion. So all the projects you work on are pretty much outside of the US, or do you do anything else for like internal?
So a lot of it is external. Internally, we had partnered with like the cruise lines. And
Mm-hmm.
so with cruise lines, you can't really get internet connectivity through wide connections because
Right.
you're at the sea. So,
Yeah.
they relied on these satellite, like our satellite network to pretty much help, or not help, but like give the users on board
Yeah.
the
Big
access
yes.
to the internet. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there is it. It did give me a broad range of uh, people to connect with. I like to talk to people from countries that I've never even heard of before,
Right.
and so
That's,
it's very interesting.
yeah, that's really interesting. So what? So in order to do this, what infrastructure though do they have on the other side of the world? Like, let's say, for example, I'll just pick, just any random country, maybe like if in order for them to get internet service, right, or even like the crews, right, in order for them to do they need to have certain things in place already on the boat, or that kind of like receive the signal and then retransmits it within that specific area?
Yeah, exactly. So, a
Mm.
big part of it was managing the antenna systems. The
Mm-hmm.
antenna systems is what's getting the radio frequency from the satellites.
I
And so,
see.
as like the radio frequency comes into the antenna system,
Mm-hmm.
each ship has those antenna systems in place so that they could receive the signal, and then that gets converted down to data, pretty much.
I see.
And the
Nice.
same goes vice versa. If you wanted to send out radio frequency up to the satellite, and then it will bounce to a different location wherever it needs to go.
I see. Nice. That's really awesome, man. I did not know that's what you did.
Yeah, no. So I moved roles from there.
Uh-huh.
I actually don't do that right now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
currently working for an electric vehicle charging company called Electrify America,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much what the company's goal is to help alleviate road anxiety for people
Hmm.
when they start driving with electric vehicles. So there's a new upcoming market with new EVs coming out. We're trying to help you know users realize that they can drive long distances because we have a network now in place to allow them to. So same way with your vehicle, if you wanted to drive from here to California, you can
Mm-hmm.
go to gas stations on the way. And so my company has decided, or not decided, have created a way so that you can also go from from Maryland, where we live, to California using the electric vehicle charging network that we have set in place.
Okay, the electric charging networks were like they're like charging stations like along the road to get there.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, very what's most common right now is home charging systems. Home
Mm-hmm.
charging systems use maybe like 12 kilowatts an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Your car is gonna take like maybe 7 to 8 hours to charge up
Mm-hmm.
with that power, like with that much power level.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we have is DC fast charge systems, and that what that is we can go up to 350 kilowatt hours. And so, like these new cars that are coming into the market, a few examples are the Porsche Taycan or the Audi e-tron.
Mm-hmm.
These cars require a higher power level to charge up, and so having a higher power level like dispenser, like DC fast charge dispensers, it allows you to charge in like 30 minutes.
Wow.
So it would not so you don't need to spend that much time waiting at stations. 30 minutes is still maybe to some a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
it really, I mean, it's the beginning of the industry. It's starting out, and we're just learning and trying to get this in place so that we can, you know, like any other technology, as it starts out, there's going to be some like hiccups, but we're going to figure it out, and then hopefully in the future everyone drives EVs, reduces the carbon footprint, and then um, makes makes it a healthy environment to be in rather than
Yeah, better than using
gas
like
based.
oil.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, okay, so this kind of brings up two things, right? So with like with the ambition of going green, now I know because electricity also sometimes comes from like sometimes burning coal and stuff like that, right? So do you know in terms of as far as like what you guys doing, do you, I guess, are you guys just building the platform and then I guess the source of the electricity is more so gonna be based on the location and maybe I guess I'm assuming there's gonna be distributors and people who are gonna be owning these gas stations, right? Like, do you know how that's gonna work, or is that not something that you guys take care of?
So do you mean in terms of how people are
Like the
getting
source of the
their electricity?
electricity, yeah.
Right. So at each site that we have, Electrify America currently has around 400 plus locations.
Mm-hmm.
And so at each of these sites, what you have is pretty much your transformer that takes the power that's coming in from just the area.
Mm-hmm.
I guess using the transmission lines, takes
Mm-hmm.
that power, and then it pretty much converts it to DC and converts it from AC current to DC current, which is
Mm-hmm.
then what's used to power our EV vehicles.
Okay. Okay. So when you say power hours, so are you guys also building electric vehicles as well, or just the charging stations? And
So we're building just the company is just building the charging stations, but we work with different vehicle manufacturers
I
as
see,
vehicles
to make
come
sure
out
they're compatible.
to test.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I see. Okay, that's exciting, man. You're like at the forefront of this stuff.
Yeah, it's a very exciting like position to be in. It's very like new. Everyone's learning together. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so with that, are you doing? Are you more so in the is you still in the operation side where you're actually trying to implement things on the ground, or are you more so like, or more so doing R&D, or little bit of both?
So yeah, so really what comes down to is I work on the operation side,
Mm-hmm.
and then as I see issues or like things that could be better developed, I will bring it over to like technology side, and they will research different ways to make it better. So I'm really on the operation side, and I like this side of it because it allows me to first hand experience both sides and also see what customers are experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very big on like the human computer interaction and like user experience. So I like the role that I'm currently in.
That's
Really easy
awesome,
that side.
man. You're because this sounds like something that would be being done in California, the tech hub. But you're out here actually in Maryland doing this stuff, so that's really cool.
Yeah, it's actually funny because most of our sites are located in California. um, so my hours are really geared towards the California time zone. So
Ah, I
the
see.
West Coast time zone. Yeah. So I work till late it's while it's like 8 p.m. over here. It's only 5 p.m. over there. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm working at different hours. Maybe I'll move one day, but right now I want to be close to home.
Yeah, a little bit close to home, and if in terms of living expenses, California is a
Yeah.
whole different beast. So that's definitely awesome. I would, if I was you, I would stretch it as as long as I can. But also there are also pros to being in California. One of our guests that is actually started to come is he also started here in Maryland at NASA, and currently he's working at Google. He's a software engineer, and he moved there a year ago, and he just was telling me about the environment is a little more different, and there are so many people within that field, so it's really easy to find mentors and people who understand what it is that you're doing and can relate to your work. So it's I guess you would be missing some of that if you stay here, But also on the other end, it allows you to save more and spend less if that is
Yeah.
what that
Yeah.
is what you're planning.
And honestly, I see a lot of future for North Virginia. A lot of the tech companies are coming there, and then also like the Amazon headquarters is now going to be in Arlington, Virginia. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an exciting time. I think Virginia is going to be also a future tech hub. I think already is actually, but I think it's going to be expanding more, especially after the coronavirus. Like maybe around next year time, we'll
Mm-hmm.
start seeing more of it.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool for you to share because I don't think a lot of people is aware of that and are aware of that and thinking about that. Um, which kind of leads me to my next question, man. It seems like what you're doing is really cool and awesome. Was this kind of the route that is this where you saw yourself like 3 4 years ago, or kind of was this kind of something that you foresaw and now you're here, or it's just something that you found out about and are interested in now and obviously you're passionate about?
Yeah, so yeah, it's the latter. I became interested like in just the overall technology aspects of things, and then after my working at my first company, I decided to switch industries, and was lucky enough to find this role in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did not think I was going to be here 3 or 4 years ago, for sure. It's definitely kind of, um, I guess, I don't know if it would be luck, but it's it's when things fall like in front of you and those things are of interest, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, definitely, man. This is exciting, man. You're at the forefront of this stuff. That's really awesome. I'm sure you get to see technology that some of us will not see yet for a while. Um,
Yeah, I think it's coming in the next couple of years. A lot more electric vehicles will be in the market. Now that I'm in the industry, I'm following up in the news, and there's a lot of exciting vehicles that are coming out that
mm-hmm,
I feel are better than regular vehicles, especially on the technology aspect, like how much range these vehicles have. It's almost reaching to a point where I drive a Honda Civic
mm-hmm,
right now,
mm-hmm.
and we have vehicles now in the EV market that can also reach like the same amount of range.
Wow, wow. And I think, I mean, in terms of, so are you saying in terms of quality, not just in terms of like fuel and that thing, but even in terms of lasting over the years and the amount of miles these vehicles can handle, are you saying they're much better in quality compared to the standard vehicles we have right now?
I think it's too early to say. It's too early to compare since a lot of the EVs that are in the market today they haven't been around for so long, and there's not enough of them to really compare to regular combustion vehicles.
Okay. Well, all right. So I'm gonna ask you to be a little more open this time, because the next
All right.
question I'm gonna ask you is kind of like a little bit of, give us a, I guess, a look into your day. So when you get up in the morning and you start go to work, what does the day look like for you?
Okay, so the day for me really is it's I'm moving towards like the management side of things. I'm a lead. I'm in a lead role at my
Mm-hmm.
company, so I my role is to manage my team of engineers, and then really what my day to day would be is just making sure that any questions that they have that I answer.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, on the side, I overlook the charger network as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
and any issues or problems that I see, I try to fix on my side.
Mm-hmm.
And if I see any patterns of problems, I bring those up to the technology team, and then we work together to try to come up with a solution. And so I like my day to day really is different each day depending on what problems come my way,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and also what questions I get.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the times, a lot of the engineers that I manage ask great questions, and I don't know the answer to. So I do a lot of digging and work with a lot of different team members to come up with those solutions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I guess something else pops in my head when you talk about this in terms of like digging and finding answers to some of these things. I know this industry still is it in its early phase. So, how do you guys deal with compliance issues and regulations? Um, is that set in place yet, or how do you make sure that you're like I'm not sure if the federal government has set stuff in place for certain regulations and standards that have to be met, um, such as in the other industry, like in the standard auto industry, where everything is regulated and has to meet certain specs and certain quality standards. Have we gotten to that point yet?
Yeah, so there are some regulations set in place. It differs by state. When we
Mm-hmm.
were talking about power, it's not the same. And since what my company is working across the whole of the U.S. and now
Mm-hmm.
Canada,
Mm-hmm.
it just really it changes. It's its own department. It's not something that I work to day to day. What I focus on is kind of customer safety, making sure that since these are high powered equipment, we want to make sure that our customers are safe. So any issues that come up where, I feel that it could potentially be a hazard, we were going to
Mm-hmm.
shut those stations down and have somebody try to fix those.
That's just really great. And Um, that's I guess that's always the gauge, and safety. You gotta always put safety up there and care about that, right? Before anything else, and of course, profits. When you're a company, that's another big thing. Um, so you guys already have, based on what I'm understanding, they already have running charging stations like in California, right? And then you're trying to kind of go from there and now across the U.S. and also north of the border.
Yep, exactly. So we're just continuously expanding with our charger network. The goal is to make it as easy as possible for users to come to our stations and charge their vehicles, because at gas stations you find one at every stoplight almost. If you go down
Yeah.
like like any highway, like there's going to be exits specifically for gas stations. We're trying to build a similar network, and you can use we have like an app where you could find those stations and plan your route.
Mm.
And it's not just my company. There's several other companies also in the EV charging industry now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as it grows, it's going to become the norm. It's yeah,
It's
it's
yeah.
going to become the norm. I think I saw a uh, article about California where they're in 2035 they want to stop all um, emission vehicles, period, and stop manufacturing them. So it's really going to be that EV market that is going to be the target.
Wow. That's.
And they're the ones that are going to be the ones that are going to use the charging network. So
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I definitely, man. This is moving faster than I imagined. Actually, I wasn't aware of like this at all. Like this ambition to, um, I guess, put charging stations around the U.S. because I think that's one of the biggest concerns that people have when it comes to buying electric vehicle. Like, well, what if I run out of power, like in the middle of the highway? What's gonna happen? Stuff like that. So this is definitely important, and I don't think it's out there enough because this is my first hearing it. Maybe if you're in the West Coast in California and the surrounding areas, maybe it's more common out there. But at least over here in the East Coast, this is my first hearing it, and I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's exciting. Most people they're familiar with Tesla. Tesla's
Yeah.
ever so expanding, and if you're interested in stocks, it's also you know increasing in value there. It's just a new market and Tesla, I believe, kind of helped push this industry forward with electric vehicles, helping it become the norm with the way their vehicles are. But
Mm-hmm.
then you have other companies that are always going to try to compete. So they're coming out with their own electric vehicles. And so it's just a new competitive market for electric vehicles. And then we're the backbone. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
be the ones that help these electric vehicles actually charge for customers.
Yeah, that fuel is important. That fuel is really everything because without it, it doesn't matter how great of a car you have or how great of a vehicle you have. If it cannot move or do anything with it.
Exactly.
So now I know you already mentioned this was kind of you did not see yourself here, but you're here now.
Yes.
What do you think is well, two four questions, right? One, what do you think was it in terms of like maybe your skills or knowledge that kind of and perhaps also passion or interest. What do you think that drew you into that first role you had with the working with radio frequencies, right, and OTB, O3B? What do you think was it that brought you in terms of personally your skills and what attracted you to that role and position, to that opportunity? But also, what do you think someone needs to have in order to succeed within that role? I'm just asking this for some of our listeners who may be, electrical engineers in college right now, or it may, or possibly even high schoolers or someone, or maybe they've already graduated but they have interest in this industry. What do you think is required? What kind of skills do they need to have? Other than just an electrical engineering degree.
Yeah, so I think the biggest skill that has helped me throughout, like maybe my previous job and this job, is just the ability to learn. I
Mm-hmm.
think the ability to learn is something that nobody should ever forget and continuously try to hone their skills on, because you know, as new technologies come into play into the market,
Mm-hmm.
if you can learn that and understand that,
Mm-hmm.
and get a good grasp of what's happening and understand the technological side of it,
Mm-hmm.
you can really excel in in almost anything. I think that's the biggest thing that I think for me. Um, I my story is a little different. While I was at University of Maryland, I was paying for my education,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't really take on internships. I
Mm-hmm.
had part-time jobs that kind of went throughout the year, so I didn't really have the ability to take on many internships.
Mm-hmm.
The few that I did helped me realize the industries that I didn't want to be in. And after school, I went into an industry completely different to the internships that I took. And it was new to me, and I'm a very curious person, so I, and I like to learn. So going into this position and learning about satellite communications, I had no idea that this even existed, and I didn't understand how radio frequency worked
Mm-hmm.
and how antenna systems work. So just I'm always interested in finding a role that I can continuously learn,
Mm-hmm.
and then I moved away from that position into the EV industry, and it really just the position kind of just came to me while I was just applying for positions, and I'm liking it. And this is the type of field that I feel like is just continuously evolving. It's continuously going to be new
Absolutely.
changes that come into the market, like that come into play. And I'm happy to be here so I can learn it, learn it all.
Yeah, yeah, probably within the next, this century and the next, probably because this is really the future where we're headed, and it's only gonna evolve from here. So you're at the forefront of that. So you're gonna have a lot of learning to do and keeping up. Otherwise, the technology is developing at such a fast pace. You can easily, the information or the knowledge that you have can easily be outdated. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like a great example is like the things that I've learned in school while at University of Maryland. A lot of the topics and courses that were available were of, fields that to me were not outdated, but like more so like, they weren't like the newest technologies. It wasn't like you know, the next big thing in my opinion. But it did give me
Even
the
like with the
foundational
project
skills.
and the project that you worked on as such.
Yeah. So, pretty much like the things that I did in school, it
Mm-hmm.
was I think they gave me a great foundational knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but because the like technology is continuously evolving, like
Yeah.
you're gonna have to get that ability to learn or figure out how to learn and apply that knowledge to like new industries.
Yeah. So you gotta be able to adapt and continuously want to learn. Otherwise, you quickly become a dinosaur. Okay, so
Exactly.
to all the students, I guess listening to this, so I guess you heard for one thing. I guess would you say, well, you are. I think you mentioned this, but try and first get your or maybe get an internship and confirm that this is something that you're interested in, right? Because you may have a notion of what so you think something is, but then when you get there, you realize this is not really what you wanted to do, right? Case in point with
Exactly.
your first internship, and I had a similar experience too. My first my first internship was when after I got my associate degree at CCBC, and Dr. Lemire, you mentioned her. She's had a great impact on many people's lives. So
Agree.
she helped me set up. She helped me get in touch with a company that was recruiting mechanical engineering majors for internships, and I interned there for a year. The work was the work was important and needed, but I just realized from me it wasn't really. It's pretty much design work. You're doing mechanical drawings and designs. Um, I I guess it seemed a little bit too slow paced for my liking and for what I enjoy and I'm interested in doing. I'm more of a people person, and I get energy from people, and I like working within a fast paced environment, and I like to see the results of my work. And sometimes that, and rarely did that ever happen, because most of the times, if you work within a design firm, you might be the design engineer, and you might just be a sub, and then someone else is gonna be doing the building. So I realized, well, this is not really what I wanted to do. And then from there on, I got another internship as well, and which was also rewarding. I was having a lot more customer interaction, but again, it was more isolated work, and I was like, I need to get around people. So
Yeah,
kept
that's big actually in the engineering industry. I feel like a lot of people going into it. And I guess this is probably something for your viewers, as if they're interested in engineering, comes down to what it is that you're actually interested in doing. I think if you can get the ability to learn, and I feel like with the engineering major, you can really gain that in any discipline. There's so many
absolutely.
different fields within each discipline that you can go into that um, really you can gain that knowledge by just learning about. And so I feel that that is the biggest takeaway for me. And I'm also a people person. I'm interested in, you know, seeing my work, like the results of my work, like
Yeah.
directly.
Mm-hmm.
And the internships that I had in the past as well were similar, where it was also I worked at a electrical construction company and in the design sector, and then that helped me understand that I can't see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's like I create a design for something, and I work on a project, but it's going to take 2 years for it to actually come into like fruition. So
If it ever, I'm
yeah.
telling you, if it ever,
If they
um,
keep the funding up.
yeah, working in the construction industry now, um, I see it happen all the time, especially if you're doing something like where you're working with local government. Sometimes projects just get postponed continuously forever. Just sometimes because of funding or other things that happen. For example, here right now with COVID, it kind of like affected a lot of things, but it also opened a lot of opportunities. Um, so I guess with this being said, is do you think you found what you're passionate about? You mentioned you like working around people. Do you think um, I'm assuming you're doing that now since you're a lead engineer. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that you have to talk with and coordinate with and do a lot of project management stuff. Do you feel like this is the forte for you? And what is it that you look forward to every single day in terms of like your work?
Yeah, so it's gonna sound kind of weird, but I like getting new problems come my way because it allows me to problem solve. And
Mm-hmm.
I think you know going back to why I became an engineer in the first place is just finding solutions to help people. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I get to do that every day, if you give me something that's very difficult, I'm gonna enjoy it because I know if I know the need of what this, like, if I know the need of the, what am I trying to say? Like, let's say there's a problem. If I want to be able to figure out what the solution is to that problem,
The
that's what's
impact.
gonna drive me. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. The
exactly.
impact of your work and the people you're affecting. And I think that's really awesome, man. And it really kind of see, like, every time I speak with a guest, it kind of reminds me why I even began this podcast, which was really to bring engineers on here and expose to the engineering, and managers and tech leaders, to just expose them to what is out there and what it is that engineers do, because oftentimes it really goes unnoticed, but it's like the backbone of society and our way of living. you know it's really
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, so just if you're a curious person, every day you see like problems and then you think of solutions and how to fix them. You're already halfway through it as an engineer right there.
That's right. That's right. Um, well, I'm out of questions, man. But what you're sharing is really amazing and interesting and exciting. Um, I guess I would say, is there anything else? Is there any question that you think I should ask you that I'm not asking you in terms of maybe your work or what it is that you do, or maybe something you wanna leave out there for the audience or students who may be going through college and maybe they're not really sure where they're gonna end up or what they want to do with their degree. Any message to them?
Yeah, so I think I resemble a lot of people that are probably currently in school, or I resembled a lot of people that were in school. I didn't know where I wanted to go because there's just so many opportunities out there. I think
Mm-hmm.
the only way you can really understand is by just trying it out, by um, giving it a shot. Try different industries through internships and just learning about what interests you through experience. I think
Mm-hmm.
experience is big.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have that experience, you can't really determine whether it's for you or not. Like for me, while in college, I had ambitions and interests in different things, and as I tried them, I realized that it wasn't always for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very different understanding things from a big picture to actually the day to day life. So
Mm-hmm.
it's cool to like say, hey, I want to become I want to design the next best mobile phone, but understanding what the day to day is of that and understanding what you've been working with,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's going to be way more important. So, while taking your classes, really focus on what interests you, what do you like to learn, and then, in at least at my school, there was a lot of different tools that I got to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Work with those tools and really get a feel for what it's like working with those tools. Because in the when you actually go out and get a job, it's going to be a lot similar to the tools aspect. It's not going to be more so theory. The
Mm-hmm.
theory is just the backbone and understanding of how to think in terms of the technology, but actually working with the technology is a lot more hands-on, and you know you got to find something that you can do day to day without being bored. And I think that's the most important. And I think second most important is pretty much finding something that helps or that you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Something where you go in and you're able to feel like you've contributed something, and that was really big for me. If I'm not in a role where I don't feel like I'm contributing to a larger audience or a larger group of people, it doesn't feel like real work.
Mm-hmm. The fulfillment is different, right? When you're working on something bigger than yourself, it's a great feeling. Um, it definitely is, and I can definitely
Exactly.
understand where you're coming from. Today morning at 6 a.m., I was standing in my bedroom, and standing next to the closet and just staring up in the ceiling. And my wife looked at me. She was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just thinking about something at work today. I gotta do." I was like,
Yeah, it happens to me all the time. Sometimes it maybe by 1 a.m. I quickly log in to see if one of my ideas can actually come to light
"Yeah,
and try to see if it works.
right." So
Yeah,
find something that kind of just gets you looking crazy to other people. So.
yeah, exactly. And I'm very interested in like personal development. And one
Mm-hmm.
thing that I see over and over again is following your passions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always easy to follow your passions if you don't know how it directly relates to your major.
Mm-hmm.
That was something big for me where I wasn't really, I didn't get that understanding while in school.
Right.
But then after working and then, getting into the interest of personal development, I realized that it does help and it honestly makes work a lot more fun and entertaining, uh, even during times where it's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I think you mentioned, which question you haven't asked me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one big question, especially for engineers overall, is how do you get that work-life balance?
Mm.
I think before we started the podcast, we were talking, and you mentioned that you might be going back to work after finishing this. I feel that the work-life balance is very important, and to me, that work-life balance and what you do outside of work will also help fuel what you're doing at work. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's most important to have that balance, have that clear mind while you're going in, because I've had days where you know I just constantly worked, and then the burnout, it's real. And
Mm-hmm.
so, especially with like new industries and as they're coming up, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's very important to have that balance. And I think achieving that balance is going to make you a lot better as an engineer.
Okay. Okay. So, with that being said, you led right into it. Do you want to share what it is that you do that kind of what are your other passions? I know you mentioned briefly personal development. How, I guess, how do you pursue that? Are you into reading books or meditating or, doing a little bit of both? You care to share that, and also, if you have any book recommendations, because I'm also very big on personal development and continuously looking to grow and improve yourself. Um, Curious to hear what you have to share on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I am interested in reading a lot of books. I think a few of the big ones that I have read that I recommend to everybody is The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. It's
Mm-hmm.
a popular book in the personal development
Yeah.
realm at least. And actually, so something from that book that helped me and really is a transferable skill is Stephen Covey. He mentions the that we should try to achieve win-win solutions rather
Mm-hmm.
than win-lose or lose-win. And what that really means is trying to find a solution that works for both you and for the person on the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And uh, how that's helped me is, as a lead, it's, I'm constantly working with people and then also trying to get an understanding of customers. The
Mm-hmm.
goal is to find some solution that works for both the business and for the users itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very big point in that book where I got that realization. But just overall, I think it's the few things that I do is I meditate,
Mm-hmm.
try to meditate regularly, and then a really big one that I'm into is journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Just there's a lot of things going on in the industry where I work, a lot of things happening also outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to put that down to paper and then just organizing my thoughts is a very great way to start off the day and
Mm-hmm.
end the day. So if no one has started journaling yet, I recommend it. It's been a huge help in my life. It's helped me, understand where I want to see myself the next few years, help me understand, where I've been, and helps me connect the dots. Steve Jobs said this in one of his Stanford ceremony speeches. Like he didn't know where he was going to end up, but as he looked back on his life, he realized that he could connect the dots and see, how he got to where he was, and
Mm-hmm.
that's very important. Self reflection and understanding who you are is going to help you be a better person for tomorrow.
Wow, that's very inspiring, man, and thank you for sharing that. Um,
Yeah, of course.
Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Any other else, or that
Yeah,
that
so
is
I can give you
okay?
a few. Deep Work is another great book. Deep
Mm-hmm.
Work really helped me understand. So, you know, at least in my role, and I'm sure in a lot of different engineering roles as well,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a lot of different. You're going to get pulled in a lot of different directions.
Mm-hmm.
Deep Work really helped me
Cal Newport.
actually complete my work, working on projects, and then having that focused time to actually do work
Mm-hmm.
is very important. It's easy to just learn a lot of different things and be scattered around the place, especially with the internet and having so much information online.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to do focused work and try to understand deeply what you're learning is huge. Is going to be huge for your self development, and like that will help. That's a transferable skill that you can use anywhere actually. And so, like,
Mm-hmm.
let's say if I want to leave this industry tomorrow and like go into a new industry, I'm gonna take those transferable skills over.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, deep work. What that book really explained is, trying to spend focused time doing things, and that
Mm-hmm.
is, a fulfillment in itself. That is once you reach that focus, like deep work. Once you reach that stage where you
Yeah,
just constantly
you don't
like
want to
you're
stop.
zoned in. Yeah,
Yeah, you
exactly.
don't
You're
want to
zoned
stop.
in.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, that's also a what is the word that I'm looking for? It helps build on your happiness as well. For
Yeah, that satisfaction that you're talking
yep,
about when you put your head down and like you cut out all distractions and you just get in that zone when you're just kind of getting something done or working. Sometimes you lose track of time. Oftentimes, actually, you really do lose track of time, and it's really a great feeling. And then when you get at the end of it, like it's very fulfilling at the end of it. So I can
yep,
definitely
that's
relate
the
to
best
that.
way to put it. It is a fulfilling. So that I recommend that book for that reason.
Okay. Well, wow, man, we're already 15 minutes in. I feel like I could continue talking to you for the next 2 hours, honestly. Um, how can people connect with you? If people are interested in what it is that you do, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can give my name. I'm pretty easy to find since my name is unique. And then whatever social media platforms you can share it with them. It's HINESH P02, and I also have a website now where you can try to connect with me. The website is mainly geared towards self development. It's the happinessprojector.com.
Okay.
And so you could reach out to me there. I'm very interested in connecting with different people and helping people whatever way I can. So, I definitely encourage you guys to reach out if you have any questions about my industry, or the previous industry that I talked about, or just school in general. And so,
Okay, that's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure, um, you know, people will reach out. You're doing great work, and again, I begin with gratitude and also end with it. I really appreciate your time coming on here and sharing this valuable information and also inspiring audience, man. I'm looking forward to having you back in the future to see how this industry is progressing. So I hope we'll be able to make time for that. Again, thank you, and yeah, just thank you, man. I'm looking forward to finding out more about this industry and staying updated to what it is that you're doing. And I myself am definitely going to check out that website that you share. So it seems like you're sharing some cool stuff over there.
yeah, no, thank you for having me, Mamadou. It's been a great time, and I'm happy that you've started this podcast. I'm going to be listening to it to see what other people are doing in the industry as well. I think this is a great platform to let people, get a good feel for the different fields because it's there's so much going on, and so there's a lot of people out there that are doing a lot of cool things, and it's always great to hear about them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.